Hello and welcome to One North Main, BCA's award-winning magazine program for the City of Champions. My name is Peter Zimbor, and for the past 4 years I've worked in the Mayor's office here in Brockton as the Director of Communications and the liaison to Brockton Community Access. Today's episode is a special episode dedicated to the life and memory of Mayor Bill Carpenter. We're going to see some of the sights and sounds of the life of Bill Carpenter, the mayor, the school committee member, the sports announcer, the citizen, and the man. We hope you enjoy this archival footage and look back at the life of Mayor Bill Carpenter.
For the introduction, here's our ring announcer, Bill Carpenter.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Cardinale Promotions present your main event of the evening, 10 rounds of boxing in the junior welterweight division.
How do the 8 boxers go? You have 3 seconds or you lose the prize.
Brockton, Mass. is the home to Rocky Marciano and Marvin Hagler, both former world boxing champions. Rocky Marciano, the only undefeated heavyweight champion in history.
Wow, you're good. Okay.
I knew that.
Yeah, right.
Well, we have a lot of special folks that have joined us from a lot of places to be part of the unveiling of the Rocky Marciano statue today.
Next would be Bill Carpenter.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Carpenter. I moved to the city of Brockton 27 years ago.
Well, thank you. I'm looking very forward to continuing to serve on the school committee as the chair after the first of the year. And I guess thanks to Tom, I never had the opportunity to be the vice chair, so I had to go straight to chair. So.
Pleased to report tonight that the state of the city is under construction.
Did she make the shirts or did you?
We made them together. Chocolate. Gotta love it.
Hello and welcome to One North Main. Raise your right hand, insert your name after I, and repeat after me.
I, Bill Carpenter,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and
to
allegiance
the Commonwealth of Massachusetts
to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts
and will support the Constitution thereof,
and will support the Constitution thereof,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I
I, Bill Carpenter,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
all
all the duties incumbent upon me
of the duties incumbent upon me
as the mayor of the city of Brockton,
as the mayor of the city of Brockton,
according to the best of my ability
according to the best of my ability
and understanding,
agreeably
to the rules and regulations of the Commonwealth and the ordinances of the city of Brockton.
and the ordinances of the city of Brockton.
I
I, Bill Carpenter,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Congratulations, Mayor.
tell me about it. I mean, what sold you? Because it was such a lousy experience a year ago, and I mean, you had to have some trepidation, obviously.
Well, it sure was. Honestly, Kathleen, after we came back from Montreal and the story got a lot of publicity in both of our countries, you know, we were approached by, numerous groups all over Canada inviting us to come back up and play. We had a very nice offer from some folks right in Montreal. When I went back to approach the parents about going back, it was a very swift and unanimous no. The families just were not interested in ever going back to Canada.
The reception was unbelievable. I mean, to think about, just the sight of the kids out there banging their hockey sticks. 200-300 youth hockey players lined up along the side of the street with their jerseys on, banging their sticks for people to play hockey. That's a sign of sportsmanship, quite often used in a game if a player from another team is hurt. The opposing players will bang their sticks on the ice. It's a sign of respect and sportsmanship in the game of hockey, and for all these youth hockey players to be out here on the side of the road banging their sticks, and the reception here, and this is just the beginning. We're not even to Fredericton yet where we're going. This is just a very small, this is 4,000 or 5,000 person town here in St. Stephen that just wanted to welcome us to Canada. It's the difference between last year and this year is just incredible.
I know I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and that's the one story I share with everybody when I'm talking to family about what happened. We thought we were going to just be meeting the group of kids that our kids were going to be playing with. We had no idea the number of children that were going to be out there.
I was the last guy off the bus. I was at the back of the bus bawling my eyes out. All them kids, I was the last guy off the bus. I couldn't come off that bus. And then when I got out, everybody, like I said, I was the last guy, and they were still there greeting you, and there was people everywhere, just coming out of everywhere. You come off the bus, you look around, and you couldn't see the asphalt, there was people everywhere.
Thank you. Thank you, it's great to be back.
Boxers go. You have 3 seconds or you lose the prize.
Brockton, Mass. is the home to Rocky Marciano and Marvin Hagler, both former world boxing champions. Rocky Marciano, the only undefeated heavyweight champion in history.
Wow, you're good.
I knew that.
No, it's cool. It's 3 stations. Actually, I was there before. Roger brought Ernie and I over there before, yeah.
Don't worry.
It was an FM rock station.
You'll stay on track today.
Yeah.
With
we don't have a choice.
6 teams from all over Canada practicing here today, you haven't got a choice.
I know. Yeah. Boy, the place looks gorgeous.
Yeah, we got it really, really done up nice.
Yeah.
Really, really done up nice.
Nice arena, huh?
Getting ready for the big draft?
Mike Eagles, who 17-year veteran in the National Hockey League. The last team he played with was Washington Capitals. He's from Sussex, New Brunswick. He lives in Fredericton. His son plays on our team.
Jets?
This is nothing more than just friendship, and that's what American Canadian hockey is to me. It's always been, that's the way hockey was, and I'm glad that this has come about. I'm looking forward to this week a lot. I was scared at first, very scared, but the way things are turning out, it's going to be something in the past that we'll forget about and remember this for a lot longer. I know we will remember this for a lot longer.
we're going to hear from our Honorable Mayor as he's going to deliver to us, to the City of Brockton, to the residents here, his inaugural address. So, ladies and gentlemen, members of the City Council, School Committee, other elected dignitaries, it gives me a great honor and a great privilege to introduce to you our Mayor of the City of Brockton, Mr. William Bill Carpenter. Mayor Carpenter.
I think that may be the nicest reception I've ever received in this hall. Perhaps this would be a good time for me to announce that I am a candidate for re-election in 2 years. Mr. Clerk, members of the clergy, colleagues, family, and friends, welcome and thank you for being here.
Award plaque goes to a person who is going to be leaving, but yet coming back to this chair, and that is Bill Carpenter. Bill, come on up. It's been an honor serving with you for 4 years.
Thank you.
I think I had a small piece of getting you to run for school committee, but so some people are going to throw tomatoes at me and others to cheer, but this is for you, Bill. It's going to be an honor working with you as the chair of the school committee. We've all had a great time with you on the committee, and certainly going to look forward to seeing you in your new role.
Well, yeah, I'll do this.
And again, Mr. Carpenter, I want to thank you for all the time. I know your dedication to the children and the families. It's important to all of us. We're thrilled to have you sit beside us in a new role. And I decided I'm your second superintendent and you're my second mayor.
There you go.
So we're off to a good start.
Well, thank you. I'm looking very forward to continuing to serve on the school committee as the chair after the first of the year. And I guess thanks to Tom, I never had the opportunity to be the vice chair, so I had to go straight to chair. So.
I didn't like that 1 minute,
But seriously, for 1 second, it has been one of the great experiences in my life serving on the school committee for the past 4 years. More rewarding than I could have ever imagined. I think the school committee really does make a difference in the lives of young people growing up in the city, working with the great professionals that we have working in the Brockton Public Schools. And I probably ended my 4 years of service on the school committee with a lot of things, but one of them is just a really greater appreciation than I ever had of the great work that the people do that work in the Brockton Public Schools, the teachers in the classrooms, to the people behind the scenes that keep the school system running. It really is a tremendous school system. We've got great kids, we've got great teachers, and I'm looking forward to getting the opportunity to sit next to Superintendent Smith for the next 2 years. Thank you.
Good. Right. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, if Brockton is to succeed and thrive as a 21st century city, we must make our city government work better. To my colleagues on the City Council, for city government to work better, we must work better together. The campaign is over, and now it is time to govern. The residents of Brockton want all of their elected leaders to work together in the best interests of the city, and they deserve no less. We don't always have to agree, but we do always need to work together. And councilors, today I pledge to do everything that I can to work cooperatively with you as together we take on the challenges that face this city. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shoe City Scoop. I'm your host, Mayor Bill Carpenter, and we'll be catching up with you here a couple times a month on BCA TV to bring you up to date on a lot of exciting happenings around the city. We'll also be offering a feature called The Mayor's Mailbag. So if you would like to send in a comment or a question to me, email to mayorbillcarpenter@gmail.com, and we'll be responding to questions and comments here regularly on the show. This is our inaugural show. Thank you very much for joining us. And I want to welcome my guest for our first show. He is the interim chief of police right this minute for the time being, until we appoint him police commissioner. But the interim chief of police, Mr. Bob Hayden. Bob, welcome to my first program.
Thank you, sir.
You're my first chief of police and my first program. So I thought a great opening show for us here with the series would be giving the folks in Brockton
a chance just to get to know a little bit about who Bob Hayden is. You received some nice ink in the Boston Globe this week, and of course I think folks in Boston, many of them already know who you are.
Right.
But I think this is a great opportunity for folks here in the city of Brockton to get to know their new chief of police.
Thank you.
So Bob, tell us first a little bit about the law enforcement background, starting in the early days at the city of Boston and how you rose through the ranks.
My dad became a police officer in Boston when I was probably about 8 years old. It was a huge plus in my life to see my father in a uniform and to know that he was going out to work every day to help people. And that's when I knew I was going to be a cop. And I got on the Boston Police in 1966, a long time ago, and started as a patrolman, South Boston, Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, motorcycles, tactical patrol force. Eventually became a sergeant, a lieutenant, deputy superintendent, and had a very, very, long, good career there.
Now, when we had, when we hosted the press conference when the day that I appointed you as chief, we had a number of folks. I think one of the most impressive things to me, there must have been over 100 law enforcement officers that had served with you at some point, probably the majority in Boston, but at some point throughout your career. And among the folks who came down to endorse you as our new chief was the former mayor and former ambassador, Ray Flynn. Just tell us a little bit about your relationship working for Ray Flynn.
When I first met Ray Flynn, he grew to hate me. It was over busing. And I was in a tactical patrol force, which was tasked with actually making busing work. None of us agreed with busing on the white side or the black side, but we had to do what we had to do, and we became, the enemy of everybody that wanted the kids to go to the school up the street. And Ray Flynn, Mr. Flynn, was a city councilor then, and he was a rabid anti-busing person.
And a South Boston native.
Yeah, South Boston native. So we he didn't like us, and I won't say he didn't like us, he didn't like what we had to do. And then as time went by, he became the mayor, he realized there were some problems in the city that needed to be taken care of, and he asked me to come to City Hall, and we sat and talked, and as soon as we sat down, we had a great relationship, and he started to give me jobs across the city that needed to be done.
And he even mentioned during the press conference that he gave you the toughest assignments.
He did. He did. He really did. Yeah, he did.
He made it a point of, he told the story of when he, at the time that the drug dealing and drug use in the Boston Common was widespread, and he asked you to clean it up, and he commented about your approach of arresting dealers but finding help for users. Could you just comment on that a little bit?
Well, I always felt horrible for the people that were hooked, that had a habit, that were just decent people that did something wrong at a party and became addicts. I also, at the same time, had a very strong dislike for the people that feed them the drugs. So it was just a natural thing to try to not to get the people that needed help, and to get the hardcore drug dealers behind bars, and we did that.
Well, I think that's a viewpoint that you and I both share, and that we'll bring to the city of Brockton. And as folks, I'm sure that read the paper know, we're in the midst of an overdose epidemic right now. We've had 3 deaths in the city of Brockton in the past week, and we'll be working hard together to get the dealers off the streets and get some help for the folks who need it. Absolutely. The Champion Plan really is, it's police-assisted recovery. The idea is that anyone who's struggling with any form of addiction can walk into the police department and ask for help.
Well, the process is very effective. When the person has their moment of clarity, they come into the station, which is a big step. That's a big first step. When they come into the lobby, they're identified, they're put into our computer, and then we have to run a warrant check. If they have a warrant, we have to arrest them. We bring them to court, and we've had 100% as of today that come back to join the Champion program after they clear their warrant.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna run your name, okay? Make sure everything is clear, make sure there aren't any warrants, okay? Once that clears, I'll put in a call, and we will give them a call. They'll come pick you up within 15 minutes or so, okay? Also, I need to let you know we have to pack frisk you just for their safety, okay? All right, so have a seat for a minute, okay?
If they're okay with warrants, then we do a query check on them. If they clear the query with the parameters we have on that, then they're accepted into the champion plan. We call over to our partners, and a champion will come over, one or two, and they escort them to the program.
Hi, it's Officer Brown, and I have one female to be picked up, okay? All right, thank you.
And then we partner with the Gandara Center to take it from there and help individuals with placement of what they're interested in, whether it be detox, outpatient, CSS placement, provide transportation through Brewster, and follow up with them with recovery coaches.
They will call us to transport someone to a facility for detox, medical detox, or wherever it may be. It makes us feel great to be able to help out because it is a barrier for some people. They're unable to get these rides that they need because they may be going to Springfield. Sometimes they even go to Rhode Island. There's a facility in Rhode Island that we go to also. So it makes us feel great to be able to help out.
Hi, I'm Ann. I'm from the Champion Program. I understand you have someone for us.
Yes, hi, Ann. Okay, she's right over here.
Okay.
All right, she's all set. I just have her ID.
Okay, ID.
What we've done is not just put a person in a detox, we've put a person into a pipeline of treatment, a continuum of treatment with constant follow-up by a recovery coach who's going to be always assisting and motivating this person to continue on to the next level of treatment.
I got your back. I'm here for you. I can support you in this. To see the active involvement of law enforcement within the community saying, we're not going to arrest you, we're not going to throw you in a cell or put cuffs on you, we're invested in you getting better.
Well, we've had a lot of people around the city of Brockton the last couple of days, and it's very exciting, and it's all leading up to a very exciting time at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Now, show of hands, how many people have actually seen the statue totally constructed and up? Boy, a lot of people snuck over there. It was only open for about 2 or 3 hours, huh? So for anyone that you saw raise their hand, ask them what they thought of it, and they're going to tell you that it's going to be the most spectacular statue that you have ever seen in your life when it's unveiled tomorrow.
The statue's here. Finally. Well, kinda. After a journey from Mexico City, the statue was brought home where it belongs.
I had worked, Mario had worked, no with our hands. We had worked with our heart.
Rocky was world famous. But let me go back to the childhood. We used to meet on the corner. And when we get through talking football, baseball, Rocky would say, okay, Johnny, start throwing some of those slap jabs at me.
The statue is here, I looked at it, I touched it, I felt it, and the feeling is just awesome.
This is the Rocky Marciano, the Rocky Run. Ready, set, go!
It's very important that if we're going to be here this weekend, we had to showcase our talent of amateur fighters. You know,
I see one of his fights, and his right hand man knocked those men out, man. And he had a great impact in my life. And every time I box, you know, I look at him. I look up to him, you know, and I feel like, you know, one day I could become like him and become an example for other kids.
you know, this was very important to tie in the whole weekend, and it wouldn't be the same without having some sort of boxing.
The biggest thank you I have is for one person, and that's President Jose Suleiman.
Yeah! And the new heavyweight champion of the world from Brockton, Massachusetts, Rocky Marciano. Please unveil the statue!
I think it was actually the early 1990s. I was hosting a weekly radio sports talk show here in Brockton, and a promoter who purchased some advertising on the show was promoting a boxing card at the Roseland Ballroom in Taunton, and at the last minute his ring announcer didn't show up, so he called me and figured that, well, the radio guy ought to be able to do that. So at the last second I was thrust into the ring to fill in for the missing ring announcer. And I'm sure that I was absolutely horrible. I had a clipboard, had no idea what I was doing, and muddled through it, but it's piqued my curiosity in it. And I said to myself, gee, I really think I'd like to learn how to do this the right way. You know, I think it could be fun. I think I can do this. So from that point, I started really trying to study ring announcers on TV. Had a chance to eventually make contact with a couple of different ring announcers who were very helpful to me in the early days. Mark Barrow, who used to be on USA Network every Tuesday night, was very helpful to me, among others. So it just progressed over the course of a few years, working local armory shows, no TV, small crowds, 200 or 300 people. But I really fell in love with doing it and decided that I would really study and practice and learn how to do it right.
Hello, everyone. This is Brockton Mayor Bill Carpenter welcoming you to this week's edition of Shoe City Scoop, where this week we're coming to you on location from the DW Field Golf Course, where today the first annual Mayor's Cup Golf Tournament is taking place. As you can see, we had spectacular conditions and a great time for over 100 golfers here today at DW Field Golf Course. Hey, we've got a very interesting show for you this week. Recently, the Metro South Chamber of Commerce, along with the Mayor's Office, co-hosted a tour of downtown Brockton for a group of over 50 bankers, developers, and business leaders. We had the opportunity to showcase many projects that are planned and underway in the City of Champions, and we were also able to highlight many upcoming opportunities for development in the downtown of the City of Brockton.
This was a 5-acre site that was once a brownfield. This building here is called a step-up design. We wanted to develop something here that would be a signature here and then signature here on the property. To the north, SoCo 2 or SoCo North, SoCo 1 across the street. Those parcels there were basically vacant, and we worked with Etonic, Treetorn, and Puma, who occupied that building next door, to help leave that to a developer named Mike Giuliano, who did a fantastic job of developing market rate condominiums. They sold anywhere from the $289,000 to $300,000 when they were developed. Very high-end development, exposed beams, about $40 million of private investment in terms of condominiums were developed here, and we work with the developers to develop these parcels. Mark Donahue was involved in our focus group when we first acquired this site to talk about the types of amenities that this site should have and the type of quality of materials that we would look to build. Right now, from this site, we transport about 11,000 passengers a day. About 6,500 passengers happen to travel through this hub. We have about 105 vehicles that service our 11 community service area, and this is a very active site. We modeled this site like a petri dish after South Station. If you have ever been to South Station and transversed through South Station, you'll see it's ultimately built like a triangle. There are many security elements here that we have that are passive security that make it very easy for passengers and customers to come and go very, very safely. Our retail space here has been occupied since 1999 with only 3 months of vacant space. So those who are commercial real estate, developers or interested, that's pretty good rental occupational rate. So
the school is so old that John Marion attended this school as a youngster, so it's clearly out of date, no longer in use. But we actually used this school building right up until about 3 or 4 years ago, the school was still in use. As we opened up a couple of our new schools, a couple of the older schools were taken offline, and this is one of the older schools taken offline. It's been looked at for development. We think it's a great development opportunity. It's screaming residential development. It is historic. I believe it was built in 1896. I hope the number's not different on the building, but designed by the same architect that did City Hall, that was built 1892 to 1894. This came along a couple years later, designed by the same architect. So it does have some historical significance. My building department tells me it's got great bones, great structure.
While investing in technology, implementing new strategies, and utilizing intelligence are all key components of our crime-fighting efforts, none are as important as getting more boots on the ground. We need more cops on the street. Our 9 newly hired police officers will be completing their training in the next 30 days to join our patrol ranks. Meanwhile, we are in the civil service selection process to hire 14 additional officers. When those 14 new hires join the force later this year, it will bring our total staffing to 196 police officers, the largest number of police officers that we have had on the job in over 25 years.
When we spoke a little bit earlier about improvements that we're trying to make Brockton a clean, safe, and livable city, I think one of the most significant investments we've made in our first 6 months, Chief Hayden has rolled out or reinstated for the first time in decades. We have motorcycle patrols out on patrol in the city. We've invested in 8 brand new Harley-Davidson police motorcycles. And today we have 2 of our officers with us who are out on patrols. We put the motorcycles out, usually actually in a little bit larger groups, usually groups of 4 or 6. And we send them out across the city, proactively seeking out street-level crime and creating a deterrent presence by rolling through both the business districts and residential neighborhoods. They've been a tremendous success. Sometimes we even roll out a wagon right behind them so that they can make arrests at street level, put the people they've arrested into the back of the wagon, and the motorcycles just keep right on going. So I want you to have a chance to see these. The officers and the motorcycles have been extremely well received by the community, both the business communities and the neighborhoods, and there's no doubt that they've had a tremendous positive impact in the safety of the city in just the short time we've had them. So I want you to have a chance to see them, and actually we'll put them in action. Guys, do you think maybe you could stop the traffic at the end of the street so all 3 of our vehicles could get out of here because we're running a little behind schedule? That would be great. How's that for service, all right? All right. Brockton's finest.
We're a pretty small, lean company. I worked at a larger real estate development company until 2010, and I decided to go off on my own. And soon after, I'd say like a day or 2 after, I went and visited this building, and I put it under agreement, and that was November of 2010. So now we're in 2014, and we opened last year. So as others have talked about, these endeavors take a lot of time, it's a lot of tenacity, and there's a lot of different subsidies that have to go into these buildings to make them a reality. We actually have, I think, 9 loans on this one project. It's 25 units, so that's like, half a loan per unit. So it's a lot. It's a lot of lenders. The building was constructed, can everybody hear me? The building was constructed in 1880 by the Lilly Brackett Shoe Company. As many of you know, Brockton was one of the shoe capitals of the world. And shoes would be exported and sent on railway cars all over the country and all over the world. Around 1900, it was bought by the George Knight Company. They made heat press machinery. They also made various items for shoes as well. The building is most notably known, though, as the Stalin Dean building, which is where I see a lot of people shaking their heads. People bought their first baseball gloves here. They were a sporting goods manufacturer, and it's believed that the baseball catcher's mitt was actually invented in this building.
The real solution to our budget woes lies in expanding our revenue base, creating real new tax growth revenue, not just going back to our existing taxpayers and asking them to pay more and more. This is why economic development and planning to create jobs and spur investment in Brockton has been a primary focus of our first term in office. We've built a team of professionals working together to attract investment, create jobs, and revitalize our city's business districts. This morning, I asked the City Council and our state legislative delegation to continue to partner with us in making the dream of a thriving Brockton become a reality. We will soon be officially submitting the Brockton Downtown Action Strategy to the City Council for your input and consideration.
I'm Sue Joss. I'm the CEO at Brockton Neighborhood Health Center. And I want to start by taking you back 21 years ago when a small, new start, federally qualified community health center opened in a medical van out of St. Patrick's parking lot. And at almost the same time, 21 years ago, a Cape Verdean family started a convenience store in 1,000 square feet in Brockton. And over the ensuing 21 years, both of those organizations have grown and become, most of those years, two of the fastest growing organizations in the entire city. Both in their own way, working toward the health of the community. For Brockton Neighborhood Health Center, we have been providing comprehensive primary care, dental, mental health, and a variety of other services to our community. And Vicente's Tropical Grocery at the time was growing quickly, providing access to healthy foods and ethnic foods that our community wanted. And over that time, we did great service to the community, improving health, but really never got together until a couple of years ago when Jason Barboza and I started a conversation that ended up resulting in this collaboration.
This is a really exciting day for the City of Brockton. I want to open by first congratulating Sue and her team at the Neighborhood Health Center at this major expansion for the accessibility of quality health care here in the city. And also my congratulations to Jason and the entire Vicente's family for developing this market here. This parcel now becomes such an important piece of our vision of the future of Brockton, downtown Brockton, in the 21st century. In our vision of downtown Brockton, we know that we have to be a livable downtown. And with the expansion of health care, with for the first time in a long time a full-service, high-quality supermarket in the downtown Brockton is far more livable today than it was yesterday, and we're more attractive as a place to live. This is also a very important day for our vision of the downtown because we want downtown Brockton to be a great place to both live and work. In our vision of downtown, it's a vibrant business district on the first floor, but with a lot of both market rate housing and office space being developed above that business district. And having the accessibility to healthcare and having this quality, full-scale supermarket downtown is a key piece in us attracting all of those types of investors and tenants. From a business standpoint, this parcel is such a critical linchpin at the north end of our downtown business district. And as Sue mentioned, this had been vacant for decades. And this is the gateway coming into the downtown from the mall and Route 27 entrance from Route 24. And what this parcel looked like a year and a half ago and what it looks like now totally changes the impression that someone has of downtown Brockton as they enter from Route 27. From a long-term abandoned building and an empty parcel to now this beautiful facility that will create a great first impression on folks as they enter the downtown. And finally, what you see here today that's so important is partnerships, because there are a lot of partnerships involved in making a project like this work. And it starts with this very unique partnership between the Neighborhood Health Center and Vicente's Market and some of the wonderful programs that they're going to offer together. But there are a lot of partnerships represented here today. And it's the partnership of the city working with these
business owners to develop here in investing in infrastructure to make this location more attractive, and in the commitment that the city made by offering the tax increment financing program that was a key part of Vicente's and the Neighborhood Health Center being able to obtain and cobble together the package of financing that was necessary to get this project done. So as we look at other sections of the downtown, this is a puzzle that's beginning to come together, and here today I am just ecstatic to see this very important piece of the puzzle become a reality. So thank you to everyone involved, and thank you for everyone for joining us here today. And for those of you from out of town, welcome to the City of Champions. Thank you.
Looks like the city is under construction.
No, it is. 2019 is going to be a historic year for the city, particularly downtown in terms of development and redevelopment. Between public and private projects, we're looking at about $150 million of new construction breaking ground in 2019. Two of those projects are already underway, the new parking garage and 47 West Elm Street, which we did a groundbreaking on just a couple weeks ago, and 44 luxury market rate apartments. And these are just the beginning. You know, we'll see several more projects breaking ground during the course of the year. I think we're finally able to see tangibly the work that's been done for the past, 4.5, 5 years. And investors are coming to Brockton. I think we've been able to establish Brockton now as a place where people want to live in downtown Brockton and pay market value rents and be willing to or be able to walk to the commuter rail station. And I think that's what we're marketing, and we still have work to do. But it's exciting to watch this. It's a mixed-use model where most of the projects are mixed use, meaning that we maintain commercial retail on the ground floor, but we're developing housing above it. And that's going to bring a whole wave of residents to the downtown who are people with good jobs and disposable income, and now the amenities will come in with it.
So 47 West Elm Street is the first building that's going to look very different. That one's going to have parking on ground level, correct?
Right.
And then the apartments are, and it's futuristic, it's modernistic.
Yeah.
If you go to Quincy and other places like that, you see a lot of those developments, so it's kind of a first for downtown.
Yeah, the developer said that he modeled it after a couple things he saw in South Boston waterfront, which is probably the hottest place in the world right now.
Absolutely.
And there's no question they're marketing to millennials and going to offer that same type of living, but for an extra 15 minutes on the train, being able to live here in Brockton for half of what it would cost in Quincy or Dorchester or South Boston. And we're excited about the prospects. And this has taken a team. We've got a lot of people from our city planner, Rob May, to Robert Jenkins at the BRA, the Chamber, the work that we've done here. And we've got everybody pulling in the same direction. And I think that going back to first hiring a city planner during my first year and bringing Rob May on board, to developing a game plan for the downtown, the Downtown Action Strategy, getting George Durant in for 3 years as a TDI fellow. And we've been able to build in, take advantage of numerous state tax incentive programs and zoning programs to make it more attractive to develop in downtown Brockton.
This contest is scheduled for 4 rounds of boxing in the super middleweight division.
Our former ring announcer and dear friend of mine, who now happens to be the mayor of Brockton, Massachusetts, that's Bill Carpenter. We will be inducting him into our Ring of Honor Hall of Fame.
Referee Danny Schiavone stops the contest. Your winner by TKO, Jesse Bad News Barboza.
And he will probably be announcing his last fight in the ring because he's a busy mayor in Brockton, Mass.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bout comes to an end at 1 minute, 2 seconds of round number 4. Referee Ricky Gonzalez calls a halt to the bout your winner by TKO is still undefeated, Kevin, the Vermont Bully Cubs.
And then I decided to run for mayor in April of 2013. And I continued. I did a couple more fight cards after I first announced. I think it was in May, after working a fight card, Jimmy called me with like 4 dates during the upcoming summer. And I looked at the calendar and I thought to myself, you know, as much as I love doing the ring announcing, once in my life I was going to run for mayor. And I was all in on the campaign run. An awful lot of people were working extremely hard on my behalf as volunteers to help me win an election. And I felt I just couldn't take the time off the campaign trail to fulfill my commitment to CES anymore. So I called Jimmy, I explained it to him. He was great, and he supported me in the campaign. And I'm not sure if I was inducted into the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame for my announcing skills, or I think they just figured they were never going to have another ring announcer elected mayor. So maybe some combination of the both. I was a little surprised. Didn't really think of myself as a Hall of Fame announcer, but you know, flattered, humbled. The thing I was most excited about was the chance to go back and do one last fight, because in the circumstances when I decided I had to step aside from the ring announcing because of my commitment as a candidate for mayor of Brockton, when I worked that last fight card, I didn't realize it was the last fight card. I was still planning to do more. And then when I realized I couldn't do any more, it was the right decision, and I would make the same decision again. But, you know, I never had that chance to really soak up the fact that this would be the last time. You know, it's funny with the ring announcing. If you told me years ago that I would get to 100 nationally televised fight cards, you know, I would have never thought that was possible. When I was working those small armory shows, my goal was just to get on TV once. My goal was, could I just get myself good enough at this that I could get a shot to actually announce a card on TV. And had I announced one card on TV, I think I would have been happy. That was the goal. But years later, to have announced somewhere around 100 of them, you know, it became a big part of my life over the course of a couple decades. And so, you know, the chance to come back, do that one last fight, knowing it's the last fight, get a chance to kind of, you know, walk around, really pay attention a little bit, appreciate the whole thing, say goodbye to people, thank people that have been helpful to me. That was the most special part of it, was when Jimmy said, we want to induct you into the Ring of Honor and then invite you to stay in the ring and announce the co-feature fight. And that's really, as great as the honor is, and you know, I'll have a nice spot here in the office for the nice plaque they gave me and all. What really made it special was the chance to announce one last fight.
Hey, Mayor. Hi, Mayor. I think that before I get up with the fighters, there's a fellow I said a few words about earlier in the night. He's our mayor from the fighting city of Brockton, Massachusetts. He was our former ring announcer. Tomorrow, he will be inducted in the prestigious CES Ring of Honor Hall of Fame. And I'll tell you some names that are in there. Rocky Marciano, Marlon Sterling, Jose Rivera, our 3-time world champion, Sucre Ray Oliveira, Vinny Paz. I could go on the names that are there, and our mayor from the fighting city of Brockton. So it's like a fighter, it's like a business, it's like life. You have to start somewhere. This mayor started in the city of Brockton, the school committee, different things, just on no committees, just working for the benefit of Brockton, Mass. I am so proud of him. I can't wait to induct him tomorrow night our friend, and boy, do I love a mayor that loves boxing, and he loves boxing, okay? Let's give it up, and let's please stand and give him some love. Your mayor, my mayor, the Brockton's mayor, Bill Carpenter.
It's great to be back. It's been 2.5 years since I've had a chance to be at a weigh-in and a fight card. And for a little over 20 years, I had a great opportunity to work as a professional boxing ring announcer. And there's still some great friends in the room. And Rich Cappiello, and I've worked with Rich for so many years alongside. Rich is like a brother to me. Irish Joey McCready in the main event. I had the privilege to introduce him a few times in his career. Super Ray Oliveira, introduced him a few times during his career, and he was a great fighter. So it's been a lot of great experiences, and 2.5 years ago I was running for mayor of Brockton, and I had to step aside as CES's ring announcer because of the time commitment. But Jimmy, having had the opportunity to work for you for several years at the end of my ring announcing career has been a real privilege and an honor. Jimmy, just Classic Entertainment and Sports is a great name because Jimmy is as classy as they come. It's a great organization. They put on great fight cards, and I was very happy to be associated with Jimmy and CBS for the years that I had the chance to work for him. But the one funny thing that happened when the last time I had a chance to work as a ring announcer, I didn't know it was going to be the last time. So 2.5 years later, and now in my second term as mayor, Jimmy has given me this wonderful honor, and the great thing for me is to have a chance to come back and announce one last fight and actually know that it's going to be the last fight. So that's really special to me. So I'm looking forward to a great night tomorrow night. I know that Rich and Jimmy put together a great fight card as always, and it's going to be a great night for CBS. And Jimmy, just thank you so much for this honor and this opportunity to come back and work with all of you one last time. And my one last remark is I just want to say how much respect I have for every single fighter in this room, past and present, because having had a chance to be in the game and around the game for over 20 years, I know how much dedication and training and hard work and courage it takes to get up into a boxing ring. It's the most individual sport in the world. In all my years of getting to know a lot of fighters, whenever they would ask me what I thought about something, I always had almost the same answer. And I would say that the one thing with me is when the bell rings, I get out of the ring. And you're going to stay in, so I don't know why in the world you wonder what I think. But I have so much respect for all of the fighters, anyone who's ever climbed through the ropes and got up into the ring. My hat's off to you, and it's a privilege for me to be here, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night and a great fight card with CBS. Thank you.
You've got to build relationships. You've got to let people know you. You've got to do a lot of listening, and you've got to realize that nobody has a monopoly on new ideas. As your mayor, I will strive to follow Congressman Moakley's model for leadership as we work together to keep Brockton moving forward. Let's go to work. Thank you.